Sri Lanka, a land of rich history and breathtaking landscapes. A nation where different communities once lived in harmony. But beneath the surface, tensions were brewing. And soon, this paradise would descend into chaos. It began with the sound of gunfire in the northern town of Jaffna. On the night of July 23, 1983, Tamil rebels ambushed a Sri Lankan army patrol. 13 soldiers were killed. The retaliation would change the course of history. In Colombo, rage turned into violence. Mobs took to the streets, fueled by anger, revenge, and political manipulation. Tamil-owned businesses were set ablaze. Homes were destroyed. Families fled. But many never made it. The streets that once bustled with life now burned in the flames of hatred. Neighbors turned against each other. The night sky was filled with screams, fire, and death. In just days, thousands of Tamil civilians lost their lives, and thousands more lost their homes. For the Tamil people, this was not just a riot. It was a message that they were no longer safe in their own country. In the aftermath of Black July, a new force began to rise from the ashes. The Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, known as the LTTE, swore to fight for an independent Tamil state by any means necessary. The government responded with force. Sri Lanka was now at war. In the jungles of the north, battles erupted between the Sri Lankan army and the LTTE. Guerrilla tactics, bombings, assassinations. No one was safe. The war did not stay on the battlefield. It spread into cities, towns, and villages. Civilians became targets. Families were torn apart. Hope began to fade. In 1987, India stepped in, sending thousands of troops under the banner of peace. But peace was never an option. The LTTE turned their guns on their former allies, and soon, even the peacekeepers became enemies. In the years that followed, governments changed, promises were made, and broken. The 2002 ceasefire agreement gave a brief glimpse of hope. But behind closed doors, both sides prepared for war once again. The war grew darker. Suicide bombers struck fear into the heart of Colombo.
Plan a suicide attack, but not even one can be left, okay?
Today, LTTE terrorists launched a suicide bomb attack near the central bank in Colombo. 91 civilians lost their lives and more than 1,400 were injured.
Sri Lanka was bleeding, and the world watched. 2005. Mahinda Rajapaksa takes the oath as Sri Lanka's president. A promise is made. The war must end, and terrorism must be eliminated. Defense Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa takes command of strategy. The Sri Lankan military prepares for its final offensive. Every battle is planned with precision. The time to strike is now. The LTTE blocks Mavil Aru, cutting water supply to thousands of civilians. A cruel act of war. Sri Lankan forces respond. launching an attack to reclaim the reservoir. Under General Sarath Fonseca's command, the Sri Lanka army fights back with unmatched determination. The Navy, led by Admiral Wasantha Karanagoda, destroys LTTE's smuggling routes. The Sea Tigers, once a feared naval force, are now losing their grip. The Air Force, under Air Marshal Roshan Gunathilaka, delivers precision strikes on LTTE strongholds, turning the tide of war. But the LTTE fights back with suicide bombings. Innocent people, Sinhalese, Tamils, and Muslims, suffer at the hands of ruthless violence. Thousands of Tamil children are forced into war, trained to kill, robbed of their childhood, used as human shields. Deep in the eastern jungles, the LTTE's last stronghold stands tall, Thopigala. For years it was untouchable, a fortress of terror. But now the Sri Lanka army moves in. Gunfire rips through the silence. The jungle shakes with explosions. And then, victory. The lion flag is raised, marking a turning point in the war. Underground, hidden in darkness, the mastermind of the LTTE plots his next move. Velupillai Prabhakaran, once untouchable, now hears the distant sound of battle drawing closer. His radio crackles. His commanders whisper. He knows the inevitable is near. From the sky, destruction rains down. The Sri Lanka Air Force launches its most powerful strikes yet. Precision bombs tear through LTTE training camps, armories, and bunkers. Smoke rises over the Wani. The LTTE is losing ground, losing power, and losing time. The world is watching. In the United Nations, President Mahinda Rajapaksa stands tall. He speaks not of war, but of justice. Sri Lanka fights not against a people, but against terror, he declares. The international pressure builds, but Sri Lanka does not back down. The war must end.
Sri Lanka fights not against the people, but against terror.
In the deep blue of the Indian Ocean, the LTTE's final lifeline moves under cover of night, a massive smuggling ship loaded with weapons. But the Sri Lanka Navy is ready. Radar locks on, missiles fire. The explosion lights up the night sky. The Sea Tigers are drowning. The LTTE is suffocating. In a dimly lit war room, two brothers sit in silence. Mahinda and Gotabaya Rajapaksa, one the president, the other the strategist. Reports lay scattered across the table. A decision is made. This war will not be paused. It will not be delayed. The final battle is coming. Kilinochchi, the LTTE's de facto capital. For years it was untouchable. But now Sri Lankan soldiers march forward. The ground shakes with tank fire. Trenches fill with smoke. LTTE fighters retreat, their once feared empire collapsing. The capital of the rebels has fallen. War is cruel, but nothing is more cruel than using the innocent as shields. The LTTE forces thousands of Tamil civilians into the battlefield. Mothers, fathers, children, human walls against advancing troops. Their faces are filled with fear. Their eyes plead for mercy. War has no heroes here, only victims. Final gateway to the north, Elephant Pass. The LTTE had held it for years, an unbreakable defense. Day, it falls. The Sri Lankan flag rises once more. The war is nearing its end. Inside a high-level diplomatic chamber, the pressure is mounting. Western diplomats demand a ceasefire. Mahinda Rajapaksa leans forward, his voice unwavering. We do not negotiate with terrorists. The world is against him. But he is unmoved. The war must end, and Sri Lanka must finish what it started. 2009. The Sri Lankan army advances into Mullawaikal. The last LTTE stronghold is falling. Prabhakaran, the leader of the LTTE, is trapped. There is no escape. Prabhakaran, once the most feared terrorist in Asia, meets his end. On May 18, 2009, President Mahinda Rajapaksa announces to the nation, the war is over. The people of Sri Lanka celebrate. After 26 years, peace has returned.
The LTT terrorism, which oppressed all the people of this country, including Sinhalese, Tamils and Muslims for almost 3 decades, is over from today. Celebrate the victory peacefully.
The country begins its slow journey to healing. The military works tirelessly to remove landmines left behind, ensuring that children can once again play in safety. Many former LTTE fighters surrender, seeking a second chance at life. Rehabilitation begins. Cities rise from the ashes. Roads, schools, and hospitals are rebuilt. A new Sri Lanka is being born. Sri Lanka stands united, a nation once torn apart by war, now walking toward peace. The past will never be forgotten, but the future is waiting.
The echoes fade, the dark day's gone, a new dawn breaks, we carry on. Wounds may heal, but hearts may